Piles, arrowheads, call them what you will, they are a necessary evil to make sure that your well-aimed arrow actually goes in the target. But sometimes, as you can see here, they like to stay in the target. Well, that's because I hadn't glued that one on, it's just an example. These have been glued on, but as I'm sure you know, this can still happen. They stay in the target. Well, pinning them on is one traditional way of making sure they stay on. Not everyone wants to have a go at it because people think it's difficult, they haven't got the right tools, so I'm going to show you a method of pinning on piles with tools you've probably got lying around the house or that you can cheaply get hold of. Let's start by punishing the annoying so-and-so by squashing it in this vise. Not too hard, otherwise you will squash the pile. Now you're going to need a bradawl, which is a sharp pointy thing, and a hammer, which is a big bashy thing. Simply make a starting hole or a dimple, a mark into the pile, quick bash, fairly simple, and that's going to give us a guiding hole, and also that hole will actually dig into the wood and provide more grip. Now this is the side where we're actually going to be drilling in and hitting our pin through. So there's our hole. Okay, next you'll need a simple hand drill. Again, hopefully this is something you've got lying around, or you can again cheaply get hold of one, and a very tiny little drill bit. I think that's a 1mm bit that I'm using there, so be careful, they can easily break. Hold the drill carefully and drill down, not putting too much pressure on. As I say, those drill bits are very thin, and there you go, it's gone right through. Next you'll need some brass panel pins, that's what I'm using here. These are about 1.6mm thick, so they're slightly thicker than the hole, which is going to give us the purchase that we need to keep the pile on. So offering up the pointy end to the large hole that we made using the bradawl, we start tapping that panel pin in, but we're not going all the way through. Now there's a good reason for this. So we're going to use the sort of anvil section on the vise here, and we're actually going to fill that hole, as you can see there, with the end, the pointed end of the panel pin. So carefully hit, and you'll feel when it stops, don't hit too hard, and that actually squashes that part, the pointed part, and fills the hole there quite nicely, as you can see. So don't hit too hard, otherwise you'll bend the panel pin over. Say these brass panel pins, they're relatively soft. Okay, the next stage is to put this back in the vise again, and we're going to cut that excess off. And again, this is another tool you've probably got, just a simple junior hacksaw that I've got lying around. Offer that up to the panel pin and carefully cut. Try not to cut into the actual pile itself, and I'm using my other hand there to sort of protect the arrow shaft from the top of the saw, so I'm not marking the wood and hopefully not marking the pile as well. Again, these are fairly soft, so they cut relatively easy. You should just be able to wiggle that off once it's done. Yep, there we go. And that can be used again. You can resharpen the end, and you can use that again for the next pile. So we just need to file off the excess here. I'm actually using a rasp, but it's got a file on the other side, and I'm rasping off that excess. And again, this is the larger hole that we made with the bradawl. So I get that nice and clean. You may need to do the same to the opposite end where the pin goes through the actual pointed end, but usually that's not too bad. But once you've done that, you really do need to check these carefully. I tend to carefully run my fingers along them, make sure there's no jagged edges, because obviously that will catch on the target when you pull the arrows out. So make sure and double check that they're nice and smooth. So there you are, you've pinned on some piles, and hopefully they'll never come off ever again. And these are the simple tools, as I say, bradawl, some panel pins, hand drill, a nice bashy hammer, and yeah, you're away. So well, hopefully that's given you the confidence to give it a go yourself, and that's just one method of doing it. Do you have a different method? If so, let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe and check out other videos.